I am Manaharan Muthuswamy. I am the interim dean and director in the School of Agriculture, Fisheries and Human Sciences at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. I am pleased to welcome you to the 63rd Annual Rural Life Conference. The theme of today's conference, working together to strengthen farmers, families, and communities, is very timely, as by only working together, we can provide solutions to the problems that we face in rural Arkansas. We have lined up great speakers and workshops. We are pleased to have our Chancellor, Lawrence B. Alexander, the Mayor of Pine Bluff, the Honorable Shirley Washington, Mr. Ryan Watley, Go Forward Pine Bluff, the morning session speaker, Mr. Maurice Jackson of Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Mr. Jackson will deliver the prestigious Simon A. Halley Memorial Lecture. Each year, we dedicate the conference to someone who has contributed significantly to Arkansas and UAPB. This year's recipient is the late Dr. Irene Kelley. Her family is here to receive the dedication. The program will proceed as per the agenda printed in the book, with some changes. After Chancellor Alexander, Mayor Washington will come forward to give her greetings. Dr. Pamela Moore will give invocation, as Reverend Clark Thomas could not make it here. I request each speaker to come forward when their turn comes for presentation. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome our Chancellor, Dr. Lawrence Alexander. Dr. Alexander.
Thank you, Dr. Manaharan. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see all of you here this morning, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the 2019 Annual Rural Life Conference. It is with great pleasure that we express our sincere gratitude to each of you for joining in and participating in this year's conference. As Dr. Manaharan mentioned, this year's theme is working together to strengthen farmers, families, and communities. And I believe in this important industry in our state, there is no more important work that can be done by the Rural Life Conference and the people of Pine Bluff and Jefferson County through the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. We are delighted as well to have our mayor join us on the dais this morning. Thank you, Mayor Washington, for your presence here today, for it shows how connected we are and how supportive you are for our programs. We thank you. Initiated by the late Professor Simon A. Halley, Director of Agriculture, the conference has been a part of the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff for over 60 years, providing beneficial information that will contribute to the improvement of our communities, our state, and our nation. Because of the vested interests of our students, faculty, staff, stakeholders, and community supporters, in collaboration with agricultural, education, and service agencies across the state and nation, we can continue to share information relative to agricultural production, family and farm management, enterprise development, and other related subjects. Through our collective endeavors, through our partnerships and our resources, we are able to provide opportunities that will further enhance the development and empower rural Arkansas through the Rural Life Conference. Again, we appreciate you for your continued support and for your attendance here today. We hope that you do indeed have an enjoyable day today at the Rural Life Conference. Thank you.
Good morning. I don't know about you, but when I look at the temperature in one area, it was a minus 35. So right now, I think it's a good morning in Pine Bluff. So let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you for being here today. I'm honored to be here to welcome you on behalf of the Mayor's Office and the City Council and all the citizens of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to the 63rd Annual Rural Life Conference. I believe the theme of this gathering, working together to strengthen farmers, families, and communities, is critical for our city of Pine Bluff and the surrounding area. I grew up in a small community. I know it as Gethsemane, similar to the Garden of Gethsemane, but others call it Gethsemane for some reason. And I know the importance of growing strong rural communities as a result of having grown up on a small farm. My parents toiled to make a living on their small cotton farm, and they vehemently expressed the importance of hard work and education. I was taught that church and school would be the passport from a life of field labor to futures as professionals. My mother and father, with 3rd and 6th grade educations respectively, were blessed to witness in their lifetime all 7 of their children receiving college degrees, entering respectable careers, and becoming law-abiding, God-fearing, productive citizens. Workshops at this conference, and I looked at your conference agenda, are going to empower people to revitalize, and us as a community, to revitalize our community and improve life across Southeast Arkansas. I'm excited to take advantage of ideas from this gathering to strengthen the city of Pine Bluff, and I believe that this conference will make that happen. I feel that it will help us to ensure equity in education for every student in our community, that it will create healthier communities through locally grown food and access to fresh fruits and fresh vegetables, that it will ensure sustainability of our environment and preserving this incredible place that we call home. Lastly, I'm grateful to this conference for promoting community gardens and urban agriculture. At the start of my term, I was inspired in part by this conference 2 years ago to start a community garden right here in Pine Bluff. Thanks to the dedication and countless community members, we are set to open the garden of the old Davis Hospital site on February 23rd. The garden will be the home to 40 raised garden beds that citizens can apply for with the city to grow fresh vegetables. And actually, as I was walking through the foyer, your entry area, the corridors this morning, I was approached by 4 women who told me they are interested in adopting beds at that community garden. And I cannot tell you how much that blesses my heart. So if you're interested in a garden spot, call my office. Those 40 spots are booking up quickly, but we want them all booked and growing healthy vegetables for our community. Additionally, an outdoor classroom at that garden spot will provide opportunities for students and citizens of all ages to learn to start their own gardens, as well as grow, harvest, and prepare healthy foods. Projects like this are why gatherings like the Rural Life Conference are so very important. I look forward to working with you all in the months and years ahead to build Pine Bluff that is one Pine Bluff, as I always say, stronger together. Thank you for all that you do to move our community forward. Best wishes, and I wish you a most productive conference. Thank you.
Good morning. I really like the land grant mission It's such a strong and clear articulation of the role of higher education in making the world a better place. And I'm so proud to be a part of a land-grant institution, especially the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. So I have this poem I'd like to share with you this morning, which I hope will inspire each of you to continue to make the world a better place by working together to strengthen farmers, families, and communities. The World We Make by Alfred Grant Walton. We make the world in which we live by what we gather and what we give, by our daily needs and the things we say, by what we keep or cast away. We make our world by the beauty we see in a skylark song or a lilac tree, in a butterfly's wing, in the pole moon's rise, and the wonder that lingers in midnight skies. We make our world by the life we lead, by the friends we have, by the books we read, by the pity we show in the hour of care, by the loads we lift and the love we share. We make our world by the goals we pursue, by the heights we see and the higher view, by hopes and dreams that reach the sun and a will to fight till the heights are won. What is the place in which you dwell? A hut or a palace, a heaven or hell? We gather and scatter, we take and we give. We make the world, and there we live. Thank you.
Today I have the pleasure of introducing one of our very own, Mr. Maurice Jackson. Maurice did get his bachelor's degree and also his master's degree in our Department of Aquaculture and Fisheries, and he is one of our biggest success stories as far as people who stay in the field and stay in Arkansas in the field. So we're very proud of him. Originally, Maurice was from Heff, Arkansas, where he grew up in a rural area, and he credits his grandfather with inspiring his interest in the outdoors. Apparently he was a farmer, and he also had a recreational fishing pond, and so that sort of instilled in him a love of nature, a love of the outdoors, and so he aspired to make that his profession. Currently, Maurice is with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. He is the coordinator of the Family and Community Fishing Program, and their mission is to try to provide good opportunities for people that live in fairly small towns with local good fishing opportunities to encourage them to take up fishing and stick with it, even if they, so they don't have to go way out somewhere to find a fishing spot. It turns out that not only is fishing fun and relaxing, it actually has some proven scientific benefits. And this is new to me, but apparently it has been associated with better cognitive development, which in turn is associated with better performance in school and in life in general. So it's not just fun, it's good for your brain. And when you're fishing, if you catch and eat the fish that you catch, that also is good for you. So any way you look at it, fishing is good for you. And that is part of, I'm sure, what keeps Maurice inspired to keep doing what he does. When Maurice graduated in 1997 with his bachelor's degree, he spent some time in Alabama, where he was the first African-American fisheries biologist for Alabama Wildlife and Fisheries. He also worked as a hatchery supervisor and aquatic education biologist, and he was credited with working on the Perry Lakes Barton Beach Preserve. It's a very large nature preserve, one of the most diverse aquatic systems in North America. He also did an internship with the U.S. Forest Service, where he worked with the San Juan National Forest in Colorado. Back to his master's degree in Pine Bluff, he worked with Dr. Steve Lockman, and he worked on plankton characterization in hybrid striped bass ponds. Also, we're skipping back and forth here, some of his additional achievements in Alabama was that he helped to introduce a new hormone that is now used in the state to help spawn Gulf Coast strain striped bass, and apparently that's increased their production efficiency by about 50%. In Alabama as well, he started an interactive hands-on class called Creek Kids for kids in grades 4 through 8. And not only was that to encourage them to enjoy the aquatic environment, but they actually were involved in taking very simple data sets related to the science of fisheries. That particular program was considered one of the most innovative programs in the country. Other awards that Maurice has won, in 2017, the Southeastern Fish and Wildlife Service, the Southeastern Association of Fish and Wildlife Agencies gave Maurice Jackson the Diversity and Inclusion Award for Outreach and Education. In 2018, he received the American Fisheries Society's Sportfish Restoration Outstanding Project Award in Aquatic Education. And that program is designed to highlight the importance and the effectiveness of sport fish restoration and also recognize excellence in fisheries management, research, and education. Here back at UAPB, he was involved with the Student Club of the American Fisheries Society, also the Ronald McNair Scholars Program, and Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. He is still a member of the American Fisheries Society and the Minorities in Natural Resource Conservation. He is recently elected chair of that organization. He is married to another UAPB alum, Dr. Melissa Jackson, and together they live and they co-own and run a clinic. That's what he does in his spare time. And we're extremely proud to recognize Mr. Maurice Jackson.
Thank you, Dr. Lockman. I bring you greetings from Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. I spoke with the director of Arkansas Game and Fish just the other day, and he extended his warm gratitude to UAPB for a lot of the work that's going on. Okay, I started my career here at UAPB. Some of the things that really helped me to get to where I am was taking advantage of a lot of opportunities that was provided here as an undergraduate and a graduate student. Make sure I stay on time. I got an hour and a half, right, Dr. Lockman?
All right, then. Possibly less.
Now, I also owe a great gratitude to the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. I actually got 2 degrees here, a bachelor's and a master's, and I found a wife here, so I got a 3-for-1 deal. Again, I'm in charge of the Family Community Fishing Program, which is one of the most popular programs that the Arkansas Game and Fish provides here in the state. Again, one of the things that allowed me to do what I do is, of course, the science behind it. I love the science, but science can only take you so far. One of the biggest take-home things I got that allowed me to be as successful as I am is being able to set up partnerships. When I worked on my thesis project, we actually partnered with some of the most influential fish farmers here in the world. Some of the biggest producers of fish reside here in the state of Arkansas. Not only that, I did my thesis research at the time, Stuttgart Stuttgart Research Center there in Stuttgart, Arkansas. And it was one of 3 warm water fish culture research centers in the country that the USDA owns. So that right there gave me a lot of street credibility when it came down for me to look for a job. Matter of fact, when I applied for the job in Alabama, there wasn't anyone that was close to my credentials. And I thank UAPB for that. One of the things that stick with me, that kept me grounded throughout my career, was this quote: "The end of education is to know God and the laws and purposes of His universe, and to reconcile one's life with these laws. The first aim of a good college is not to teach books, but the meaning and purpose of life. Hard study and learning of books are only a means to this end. We develop power, courage, and determination, and we go out to achieve truth, wisdom, and justice. If we do not come to this, the cost of schooling is wasted." That's by John B. Watson, the first president of A&M College, which is now University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Now, when I started my career in Alabama, of course, I was in charge of growing about 90% of their freshwater fish, and it's one of the largest hatcheries in the country. Up until about 1965, it was one of the largest hatcheries in the world. It was actually built and constructed during the time when Theodore Roosevelt was president. Again, you're going to hear me reference partnerships a lot throughout my presentation. We're going to have some fun today. Can anyone tell me what this is, this picture? Take your time. Of course, with all the work that I did at the hatchery there in Alabama, of course, 600 acres, we actually gave away 200 of those acres to the city of Marion. City of Marion, Alabama is where, of course, the hatchery is based at. Again, that's what you're looking through is a window. And they have a restroom. Ecotourism, anybody familiar with that? This park that we built is located in Perry County, Alabama, of course, Marion, Alabama. And it's just a rock throw to one of the most diverse places in North America for plants, fish, animals that live in water. And this is and it's the only project like this of its kind on that river system. We actually worked with a bunch of architectural students from Auburn University that had their 5th year project. They had to do a project, and this was one of them. Everything in this building was all donated. And of course, here are the partners that were involved in this. A lot of folks. And we had a goal that we wanted to do, and we worked on it and we stuck on it. There were a couple, we had a few disagreements, but we made it all work. Okay, what about this structure? Now, these structures they built incorporated, of course, some aspect of hunting, some of the cultural aspects back during, when they had outhouses. Didn't that first structure look like an outhouse to you? lot of folks not familiar with that. And it also had some modern aspects to it with the stainless steel. Now this was built in the flood zone. You gotta realize this is next to a river. And this structure is sitting on, most of these structures are sitting on about 6 feet of reinforced concrete, all donated. Now Marion, Alabama is home to Martin Luther King's wife. A lot of people don't realize this. Okay, Marion is 25 miles from Selma. But when they were planning on doing the march to Montgomery, they were actually going to start it there in Marion. So there's a lot of rich culture and history there in that part of the world. And it's also one of the most impoverished places here in North America. Come on, guys, I gotta play the game. What is another restroom? I mean, we try to incorporate nature in its at its best, you know. People come from all over the country to come see this. All right, last one. Now this one doesn't have a roof on it, so we want you to be exposed to nature at its best. And it's one of the last features, which is really cool. It's one of the nicest, one of my favorites. It's a 100-foot stainless steel birding tower. And you can look over the hatchery, you can look over the 3 oxbow lakes, and when the trees are not in, you can see the river, called the river. Again, it's the longest free-flowing river without a dam here in North America, and that's why the diversity is so great there. Of course, this is the walkway that was built along the oxbow lakes. Some of the best fishing in the world. And that's a cool structure too. No electricity. So this, you drive up, you see this building, it's tilted sideways. That's so the light can get in there. It's a pavilion, fully functional. Again, everything was donated right there from that particular county, that part of the world. And of course, it floods. And that's why we built it the way we built it. Another partnership. This particular fish is a striped bass. I did some of my research, my graduate work on striped bass. Alabama actually has one of the purest strains of Gulf strain striped bass in the world. We actually have a partnership with every state along the Gulf Coast. Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Mississippi, you name it. They were getting some of our fish. And in turn, what they would do was give us trout. There wasn't a trout fisheries in Alabama until we started producing this fish. And so we would trade fish. And I grew millions of these. I got a lot of fish babies swimming around here. Again, those fish would come into the tanks. And when we produced these fish, it used to take in-house, 6, 8 weeks, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to spawn this fish. And we were only using one hormone. And then we switched from this hormone, we actually stayed with this hormone, we just added another one, LHRH, which is a more gentler hormone to produce this fish. And these same hormones are the same they use for inducing labor in women. I know they did it in fish. It's cool. But again, the science part of what we do is pretty much cookbook. Of course, there's some ingenuity behind it, but the partnership allowed us to keep this fish alive. If we didn't produce this fish in-house, it wouldn't exist because we've changed up the fish's environment. The dams on the river won't allow it to go out to the ocean and live. So we have to produce it inside the lab. They would go out to the ocean, come in stream, and in the rivers and spawn. But with dams on the river, it can't do that. Those fish will be trucked 3 hours away. Again, they're fishing for them 24 hours a day, non-stop. Because once the water temperature gets to a certain temperature, the fish just disappear. You can't catch them. I really enjoy doing that. Now, what changed the aha moment, and everyone gets this during their career, After 5 years into producing a lot of the fish, I mean, we grew about 40 million, 9 different species a year right there in Marion, Alabama. It was this guy here, the Alabama sturgeon. We had 5 of these at the facility, all males. And my job was to make more babies. Can't do that without females. This is the last picture. This is one of the last photos of this animal being alive in captivity. It's now extinct. I'm explaining something. Everybody at one point, parents left you at home and said, hey, you know, eat up all the food, don't let nobody in the house. And want everything back where it was when I come home. No company, nothing broke. The planet's the same way. Somebody left us in charge. When they come back, what we gonna say? Alabama was probably number 3 in the nation for animals on the endangered species list. There are animals here in Arkansas on the endangered species list. When I had the opportunity to work with this fish, it just changed my whole way of thinking of the world. I'll never forget, it was a Friday night. I called the chief of fisheries. I said, man, this fish gone. I don't know if he was lonely or whatever, but he just... But 2 years later, they found one. I felt good about that. I was like, man, I want to be the last person to see this thing alive. And so they put a transmitter in him and they tracked him for about a year and he disappeared. It's now, of course, extinct. And one of the things that bothered me the most, nobody called, concerned about the animal. You know, we put it in the newspaper. You know, I realized Alabama has twice the population as Arkansas, just about. So I went on a crusade. I said, adults, it's hard to teach adults. And so we got a generation of folks that know very little about human interaction with the environment. And so I told my boss, I said, we need to do something. I said, people are not concerned about human impact to the environment, so we need to start working on educating folks about this. The best way to do that is working with these kids. Of course, this is one of the first programs that Alabama had. Actually, I was the first one to even start transporting fish to schools so kids could see them. A lot of kids come to the hatchery, they thought all the fish come from grocery stores. It's sad. So we introduced them to creek sampling, just things we take advantage of. When we grew up, turning over rocks, walking through a creek, you got to realize that the majority of the population is now in major cities, urban cities. So kids aren't exposed to this. And then you got a couple other things with technology, handheld devices, and kids love this. We won an award. Well, we got national recognition for starting this program. It's still going on today. Tens of thousands of kids have been exposed to this. Now I'm gonna switch over back to fishing. This is East Lake, Birmingham, and right in the city of Birmingham. We used to partner with the city of Birmingham and several other vendors to create one of the largest community fishing events in the state of Alabama. Well, actually, in the southeast. Over 3,000 folks at a fishing event. Can you imagine seeing this many folks wrapped around an 18-acre pond in one of the most crime-riddled areas in the state? And we never had an incident. They're still hosting that event today. Now, it's not the largest anymore. Can anyone tell me why?
Arkansas's got the largest.
There you go. When I moved to Arkansas, they offered me something that I just couldn't refuse. I told my wife, let's pack our bags and go. My wife said, babe, I'll go with you. Largest community fishing event in the state of Arkansas. Again, partners. Over 30 partners. You got some in fine print. And we promoted billboards. It's never been done before. And it's something that we've added to these events that nobody is doing in the nation. You come to a community fishing event, everything is centered on fishing, but you also got archery. You know, there's national archery competition that people can be involved in, kids can be involved in. Be shooting archery for the first time. You also have BB guns. You know, there's an Olympic sport when it comes to shooting BB guns. And also colleges even offer scholarships. They have shooting programs. Of course, we offer canoeing and kayaking at these events. Never been done before. This is my favorite. The how-to do things. You know, like, of course, you're fishing at the event. Of course, you know, you also learn how to cook it and clean it. We partner with Culinary Arts School in Little Rock, Pulaski Tech, which is under the University of Arkansas. And they can cook this fish. Oh, man. I thought Mom can cook fish. They fry it, pan-seared, and what you're seeing here is a blackened grilled catfish. And they do everything from scratch there on site. They bring out 5 students, and they have a lead chef. From the pico salad to the regular coleslaw, they do it all from scratch. They bring the cabbage. It's one of the most remarkable things to see them work, and they just love it. Y'all watch, anybody seen Hell's Kitchen? You even get some of that kind of action while we're there. I'm just kidding. But another thing too we've added, wild game tasting. A lot of folks in these urban areas never had wild game. So we partner with hunters feeding the hungry to enhance that opportunity for the public. And it's all free. You can get a lot more done with partners. We've offered canoe trips, hunting trips, fishing trips, all to the general public. Gentleman there, we're partnered with Marco's Pizza. He owns more Marco pizzas than any other place. Well, all the Marco pizzas in Arkansas. He owns all those, and then some in Oklahoma. We never had online registration for our events. We do that now. Another one of our partners, which has never been done in the history of our organization, over 100-some years old, was able to reach out to the Latino population. Most of the Latino population is in Northwest Arkansas, from what the Univision president tells us. 66% of the Latino population in Northwest Arkansas, 33% of it in Central Arkansas, and the rest of them are scattered out around the state. We actually provided these fishing opportunities, and everything was in Spanish. We marketed directly to them, and they actually came to the events. Before we did that, this didn't happen. Now, we did an experiment last spring, the first time we ever done this. People that registered online here in Pine Bluff at an event, and we did the same thing, the fish cooking, the canoeing. I'm sure some of you probably heard about that, attended it. But we had a big response as far as people coming out. Most of the people that came out was average 42 years old, and they had at least 2 kids. And most of them harvest their fish, which means they took them home. And when we promoted this, we did a geo-targeted promotion of paid social media. We did that for 3 days. And most of the people we reached was through paid social media. All these other media outlets that we use, we did that for 6 weeks, promoting. But when we ran it through paid social media, just 3 days, and it just blew the other ways, the formal other ways we used to advertise out the water. And the good thing about these events that we're doing, most people said they would attend another event. Again, partnerships, we couldn't do this without partnerships. And that's one of the things, again, I learned here at UAPB, and I'm very thankful for that. Again, we have 39 locations around the state that I manage. Most of these locations in cities where there's 25,000 or more people. And without this program, they wouldn't have an opportunity to fish. You have to realize, in order for people to even want to think about what's going on in the environment, you got to get them out there. So we partner with a lot of folks, community leaders, law enforcement, non-government organizations. And one of the things that's in the work right now that I'm very happy to be involved in is the a big research project that we're getting to work on with UAPB, and Aquaculture Fisheries Department. We're hoping to do fund a dissertation. Annette, can you stand up, please? We're hoping this spring to be able to fund her dissertation to do research on the program. I'm in charge of and several other programs within the fisheries division. And it'll be the first time in history that's ever been done. And it's probably gonna be one of the most extensive research projects when it comes to getting folk outdoors and fishing in any place. So I'm very proud to be a part of that. Again, I want to thank the Chancellor, the School of Agriculture and Fisheries and Human Science, and of course the Planning Committee for this great opportunity to have me to come here and speak. And with that, I will entertain questions. No, that particular species is gone extinct. Now there's a Gulf sturgeon that's still there, yes, but it's having problems because of the dams on the river. The Gulf sturgeon used to get up to, they got records 1,300 pounds, and the largest one that we were able to catch was maybe right at 100 pounds. That fish has to be able to come up into fresh water, and that's where all the grocery was at. You know, that's where it gets all its food during certain times of year, and they spawn and have babies and go back out to the ocean. But when the dams were put in place, that actually prevented that fish from being successful in the environment.
Do we have any trout around here in Southeast County?
Chico County, that's Lake Village, correct? We don't stock that far down, that south. Pine Bluff will be your closest location, but we do have a location there where we stock catfish in Lake Village. I mean, that's a lot of good fishing down there in Lake Chico. I mean, that's...
But they don't have trout.
Everybody one at a time. I'm gonna take that. I did a great job.
On behalf of the Rural Life Conference Committee and the School of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Human Sciences, I'd like to present you with this S.A. Haley Memorial Lecturer Medallion. And remember, when you're ready to become the second Dr. Jackson, come back and see us.
Mr. Jackson, thank you for that presentation. I think you have inspired me to get my fishing license. It is my task to do our Rural Life dedication. Each year, the Rural Life Conference Dedication Committee nominates an individual or individuals and submit the nominee or the nominees to the Rural Life Conference Task Force for consideration for the honor to dedicate the current Rural Life Conference. The honorees are chosen because of their contributions to the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff School of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Human Sciences, and the rural community for improving the quality of life for people in the community for positive contributions to the Rural Life Conference. This year's recipient, Dr. Irene Kelley, as many of you know, passed away on January the 9th, 2019. But it's my honor to recognize her, and I consider it a privilege to highlight to you some of her career accomplishments. I had many opportunities to work with Dr. Lee over both of our careers, and she had a 55-year career. So there's a lot that we could talk about today, but of course, the chair didn't give me that much time, so I'm going to give you some highlights of her career. Her first 10 years, she spent in El Dorado, Arkansas as a home economics teacher. And then in 1971, she was one of 2 specialists chosen by the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff to launch the 1890 Cooperative Extension Program in Arkansas. And this began her 45-year career with the university. Dr. Lee recognized the importance of locally grown fresh fruits and vegetables in the diets of rural and farm families. Although hired as a home management specialist, she emphasized the use of agricultural products to supplement, expand, and improve family diets. She encouraged farm families to plant gardens and farmers to add fruits and vegetables to the crops they grew. Those families who received USDA commodities were taught by her staff how to prepare them more nutritiously. In 1978, she helped organize the first farmers market in Pine Bluff. In that same year, she was promoted to family and child development specialist and immediately began a program to reduce teen pregnancy in Arkansas. She was recognized in the state as well as nationally for her work in teen pregnancy prevention. The program continued for 26 years until it was phased out in 2004. And if you ever had an opportunity to talk with Dr. Lee, I am sure she talked to you about the Young Scholars Program. That was one of her premier programs. She loved talking about that program, and she did much good work with that program. The Young Scholars Program paired at-risk boys with male role models and was delivered in housing developments for families with low incomes. In 2007, the U.S. Department of Agriculture named the Young Scholars Programs one of the 10 best programs in the nation. So that was such an accomplishment for her. Two other programs Dr. Lee was instrumental in bringing to the university were the Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. We all lovingly call it FNEP. And the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Education. Both these programs work with families with limited incomes, and they are conducted in 4 counties in the state. In 2008, Dr. Lee was promoted to Extension Administrator and remained in that role until her retirement in 2016. She authored more than 100 peer-reviewed articles, chaired the Rural Life Conference in 2006. And I want you to know, like I said, I'm by no means, giving you a full scope of her accomplishments. This was just a snippet. And as a teacher and educator, Dr. Lee forever changed the lives of Arkansas youth and rural families. This morning, we have Dr. Lee's family with us. We have her daughter, please stand, Margaret Irene Lee, and her husband, Mr. Michael Scott, and 2 of her grandchildren, Ronnie and Princess. They will be accepting the plaque on Dr. Lee's behalf. Will you all please come to the stage?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Diane Pereira, and as the conference co-chair for this event, along with Dr. Uttam Deb, I have been given the task of giving the closing remarks for this morning's session. And I'm doing this on behalf of the 2019 Rural Life Conference Planning Committee. This committee is comprised of faculty and staff from the School of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Human Sciences, and officers from collaborating USDA agencies. The Planning Committee has been working tirelessly throughout the past year in organizing the proceedings of this conference. Working together to strengthen farmers, families, and communities. That is our title and our theme. Our rural communities are home to some of the most hardworking and fiercely self-reliant Americans in the United States. Repeatedly, we have seen the resilience and power of our rural communities to organize, grow more food while regenerating their land and create positive changes in their societies from ground up. We here at UAPB and our collaborators at USDA recognize this importance of farmer and community-driven agriculture development practices. Our goal is to support and provide the necessary technical expertise to farmers and their families in rural communities to allow people to improve their own lives. Working together, we have a real chance to address fundamental problems like poverty, hunger, and climate change by unleashing and supporting the power of family farmers working productively with the environment and nature. Therefore, we hope the information presented at this conference will assist you in recognizing and pursuing innovative ways and opportunities to improve your farms, families, and communities. With that, on behalf of myself and the 2019 Rural Life Conference Committee, I would like to thank our Chancellor Alexander, our honored guests, the family of Dr. Parker, the family of Dr. Lee, Madam Mayor who was here, and everybody else that's up here that has, for their presence and their continuing support of this conference and the goals of the Rural Life Conference in general. With that, I would like to invite everyone to check out the displays, exhibits, posters in the hallway. Afterwards, we will have the workshops in the breakout rooms that will follow the session. I have been asked, as we're constantly trying to improve this conference, we would really appreciate if you take a minute to fill out the surveys that y'all were handed this morning when y'all walked in. I think they're on an orange or salmon-colored sheet of paper, and please hand them back on your way out. Somebody will be around to pick them up at the door. With that, thank you very much for your time and attention, and have a fantastic day.